Greetings, my Frosh Novice program. I don't know if all of you really understand the term Frosh Novice and what does it mean. It means this: you're rowing in a category where you go race, and it will say varsity, it will say JV. It could be lightweight and heavyweight. We're not going to worry about that right now, but you're going to row in the Frosh Novice division. Sometimes it's just called the Novice division. Back in the old days, it was just called the Freshman division. But basically, it means that anyone who has never rowed before in college can row in your event, all right? Or anyone that was recruited with experience and has never competed in a collegiate event can row in your event. So you're going to be going down the race course, possibly against recruited freshmen who've rowed for several years in high school. You may have people like yourself who've never rowed before rowing. They could be freshmen, they could be seniors. All right. So basically, in your division, you're going to be rowing against people like yourself, most of you, who have never rowed before, and quite possibly rowing against recruited athletes who have no collegiate experience. All right. Now, let's talk about the team. First, let me talk about training. I've given you all a couple of weeks to just kind of get into flow, figure out whether or not you want to work hard or not, see what training really means, And I've been really happy. I've been very, very happy with what's going on. I couldn't ask for any more, to be honest with you, from the coxswains and the rowers. But now we are at an inflection point where you all have to make a decision whether or not you want to be competitive or development, okay? Now, I sent that email out earlier to give you an idea of what it means to be a competitive rower. And a competitive rower possesses a certain set of skills. You're fit, you're strong, you're dedicated, you want to win. You're aware of what you're doing on the machine. You're looking at your split and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I'm doing a steady state and a 240 is not acceptable. I need to pull a 220 or a 215, and it's going to hurt, but you're going to do it. You're going to hop on the bike instead of just sort of pedaling at 80 watts. You're going to ride at 140 watts. Yeah, it's going to hurt, but you're going to do it because you're competitive and you want to make the top freshman four and you want to row at regattas. Okay? And there's going to be a selection. There's going to be competitive to make some of these boats. So you have to make that decision. And if you just want to get in shape, you want to learn to row, maybe you've just joined the team. As I said before in my other videos, that's why Rose is here. That's why I have 3 other coaches, is to teach you how to row at your own pace so that you enjoy it. Now, no one is going to race if I don't think you're ready. No crew, no boat. All right? And there's a reason for that. Number one, if an individual or a crew isn't ready to race, it's dangerous. It's a terrible experience. There's no joy. There's no fun, okay? To row in a boat, and many of you have never been in a boat yet, it's like riding a unicycle, okay? They don't just set up and go. You have to balance a boat, and that takes months, okay? When we get back from spring break, and some of you aren't going on spring break, you have a race in 2 weeks. 2 weeks against half a dozen programs that have athletes that have rowed in high school, So it's just not fair of me to do that to you. And also, if you don't race at all this year, you can come back next year and you can start again in the freshman novice program because you still have eligibility. And now you have a leg up on your competition instead of 3 legs behind, okay? So, and we'll talk more about this. And I would say after spring break, probably the first week after spring break, I will have an ability to assess the entire novice program, talk to my assistant coaches, find out where we are, and I will sit you down and I will say, you're not racing, you all potentially can race. And those that are potentially going to race, well, it's going to be very competitive to make those boats. All right. But again, no one's going to get cut. Everyone's going to get equal coaching. We're all going to have boats to row in. But it's just a little reality. So if you're thinking to yourself, well, I really didn't expect to race, not a problem. If you're thinking to yourself, well, I'd really like to race, but you're not going on spring break, you're probably not going to race. You're not going to be ready. There's no way. It'd be like, seriously, me giving you a violin and saying, look, in 2 weeks, you have a symphony. Oh, by the way, you're first chair and you're giving a solo. You'd be like, are you out of your fucking mind? Right? Well, think about it. There's no difference. All right? There ain't nothing worse than being in a boat, getting your oar caught in the water and having the person behind you jam their oar into your spine. Not a lot of fun. No bueno. Okay? Now, let's talk a little more specifically the men and the women. Women's first. Women's team is large. Okay? We have a couple of women with experience. I see at least five or six competitive athletes. That's what I see right now, that have an opportunity to make the top 4. That's where we are right now. And that could change. The novice men, I'm impressed. We've gone from 2 to 5, and I think there's a few more guys that want to join the team. That's exciting, okay? I don't see the numbers. I don't see 4 guys right now that I think can get ready to race. I don't see it right now. Maybe after spring break, I'll reassess. What does that mean? Well, if I don't have 4 guys that can race, we're not going to have a novice 4. What I would do is I'd put you guys into pairs. Talked about that in my email. And a pair is like 1 port, 1 starboard makes a pair. There's first pair, second pair, third pair. I'd probably take the top pair and I would teach you guys how to scull. Okay? Teach you, and the same thing with the second pair and the third pair. Because there seems to be a big drop off in physical fitness. Okay? So that way my athletes are going to get the training and the workouts that they need for future competition. If, let's say, that double gets fast and they want to compete at the Dad Vales or maybe Acras, I would certainly be open to that. There's no novice double. It's only varsity, right? But I think athletically you could do it. Technically, I don't know yet, okay? Now, so novice women, you're in a good place. I think we have enough competitive athletes to make a 4. I think that 4 will be competing at all the races and peaking at the Dad Vales or possibly Acras, and we'll talk more about that. If you're in the second 4 and you're ready, I would love for you to race. Okay, third 4, I don't think we're going to have the depth. Don't know. We'll try. I don't know. I'm open. Remember, everyone gets coached equally. Novice men, I don't see a men's 4 right now. I see 2, possibly 3. I don't see 4. That might change over the next couple of weeks. That might change at spring break, and it might change that first week back. But at that point in time, I will make a decision on what to do with the novice men's team. Because what I would like to see, I have a couple novice guys that if you don't race, you just learn to row, which you have to do anyway. You come back next year and you could be a force as a frosh novice rower, okay? So there's a lot going on and it's complicated. But I guess the essence of it is we're a competitive program and we're good. And we go to races and we row to win. If you're not ready, then you don't go. And why don't you go? Because there's no fun, there's no joy. It's something that you can't do. I'm not going to make you do it. You don't want to do it. We will take the time to teach you, to coach you, and to get you ready. And if you are ready, you will race. But if you're not, you'll come back next year, start again, and have a very successful frosh novice career. Now, if any of you want to come up to talk to me, be like, hey, where am I? How do I look? What are my chances? I'll be very candid with you. You could also talk to any other coaches. They could answer that question as well. Okay, we all watch you row. That's it. That's all I got. Like I said, couldn't be happier with the freshman team. I love everybody. Great group. I think we have a couple new guys that might be joining, which kind of way makes it more challenging, but in the long run, that always pays off. Okay, so now, as I mentioned in the email, things are going to get more difficult. Know what split you should be at. Know what a good split is. Don't just sit on an erg and start rowing. Get on the erg, know in the back of your mind, my goal one day is to row 25 minutes at a 220 split. And if you're pulling the 245, it's reality, you know that you're way off the mark, okay? And it's going to take you weeks, months, maybe a year until you get that split down. But this is that transitional point where we all start working on becoming true competitive Lafayette rowers. That's all for now.